onwards. Defend the hard points at all costs. If the militia overload the reactor core, it's all over. Strap in.
Anvil 1 is a go. Anvil 2 standing by. Anvil 3 is good to go. Anvil 4 is a go. I hate this part. Cut the chatter. Initiating drop sequence.
Separation confirmed. Stand by. Approaching shock layer.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Gaming with me, Tony Mo. And it's finally happened, guys. Titanfall is upon us. You can now prepare for Titanfall. Officially, the game is out on PC and the Xbox One. Of course, it's going to be coming out later this month on March 25th on the Xbox 360. Hopefully that game does well, because I'm genuinely impressed with Titanfall. As you guys know, my beta impressions, everything I said about the game from what I played in beta was extremely positive, and that has luckily carried over into the full release. Now, I do have some issues with it. We're going to talk a little bit about some things that I've noticed in my first, I guess you could say, 4 hours of playing on the Xbox One version. I have played on the PC, and we're going to do a video in the future talking about some of the differences I have noticed between the two platforms. They're very small, very unnoticeable, but hey, let's just go ahead and dive into the thing, because one of the big things I want to talk about is the campaign. So the multiplayer campaign, a lot of people were curious as to how this was actually going to work, what it was going to be like, and I think it's one of the most noticeably different things, and it's also one of the few things that I think could have been done a lot better inside of Titanfall. Just about everything in the game impresses me a lot. You know, I'm very impressed by the small details and a lot of the things that they've done inside of the game, but the campaign, the multiplayer campaign, it's obvious while they were trying to keep the multiplayer aspect of the game at the forefront of it all, while still trying to integrate some sort of story, what you end up walking away with is really not knowing what the hell happened after you play both sides of the campaign. It's very interesting. There's some very cool moments. They do some really nice touches with fighting on a planet filled with dragons, monsters essentially. Intro sequences with different, entry points into planets, whether they be drop pods, or there's a lot of really well done small things. I mean, for example, the beginning of this mission you saw here, we're actually in a debriefing room. There's a hologram up telling us what we're going to be doing, and then we breach out into the doorway. You got the two Titans kneeling down. Those small touches make it feel special, but at the same time, I almost wish I would have just been able to see those sort of peppered throughout the entire multiplayer experience, not just the campaign mode. I think it would have done well, in the entire thing, but I understand what they were trying to do once again with the campaign. They're trying to give us some sort of a story. Basically, though, what the campaign mode has done for me is make me realize that I really want to see a single-player Titanfall game at some point. I don't know if it's something that Respawn would be able to do in the future, if it's something they would want to focus their efforts on. I mean, the main reason they didn't build a single player for the game in the first place was that they sat down and said, okay, we have a very small development team, we don't have a big budget, we're a brand new studio. What do people want to play anyways? What do we want to make? And I've talked about this in the past, a multiplayer experience. I'm very glad they went that direction, but I'm really interested in the lore and the characters in the universe that they seem to have, briefly outlined and sort of teased inside of Titanfall that I would definitely like to see more. I don't know if it's something that is possible, but I would be very interested to see them take on a single-player journey for the Titanfall characters. Who knows? Maybe we'll see in the future, maybe we won't. Maybe in the multiplayer, in the next Titanfall, they'll be able to flesh out their campaign a little bit more and use it to better tell the story. But for now, it's a really small way of infusing small pieces of gameplay, of story elements into the multiplayer experience. It doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of people are going to be confused by it. They're not going to understand what faction is which, who stands for what. But, it's there, and it's not bad, it's none of the things I've said affect the experience. You're just playing the multiplayer modes with these small, sort of little cutscenes tacked on that are all real-time in-game. You can move around while they're happening. It feels great at the end of the day, I don't really have any huge complaints about it. Now, the core game, I mean, we sort of knew how Titanfall was going to play from the beta. This wasn't one of those betas that you play and it's completely different when the full game comes out. We've only got a taste of it. Really, the only thing that the beta did, or that the full game does the beta didn't do, is all of the other maps and modes and weapons and, the Titan chassis. That's all here now. And for a lot of people, it may seem like a small amount in terms of content when we look at the actual pilot weapons and the Titan weapons, but I think, again, Respawn took the, quality over quantity thing. I feel as if Titanfall has some of the most balanced loadouts in a first-person shooter, and a shooter of this style that I've ever played. I mean, no one weapon feels better than another weapon, if you know what I mean. Every time I try a different weapon as I unlock it, a different loadout, there seems to be a proper use for it. You know, okay, I understand how I use that, I understand how I use the cluster bomb, I understand how I use the, you know, the plasma railgun, and I understand the shot cannon, all these different things. They all have their own uses, they all function differently, much like the Titan chassis, which... 3 different chassis, all very different functionality, and depending on your playstyle, one might be, you know, more for you, it might fit the way you play better, but at the same time, you can make use of each of those individual chassis and, you know, their specialties and how they function, and they can become a very powerful tool, just as powerful as something else. You know, the Strider, which is very low on armor but very quick, can be equally as powerful and stay on the battlefield just as long as the Heavy Ogre, which is sort of the tank thing, when piloted by someone who understands how it functions, understands how to play it. And I think, again, that is at the strength, that is at the forefront of the Titanfall experience. I've said that in the beta, and it's, you know, it's still relevant. It's here inside of the full release. So far, my first impressions of Titanfall, very, very good. I'm very excited to finally have the game in my hands, and I'm excited to keep playing it on the Xbox. I'm gonna be looking into the maps more. I've been playing about 4 hours now, and I actually just played a map that I haven't played, so I still don't know the actual map count. That's something I need to look into, figuring out what maps exist, and, you know, we're going to try and break all of that down in future videos. But I wanted to do this video, kind of just let you guys know, you know, what my initial impressions of the full game were, and again, they really carry over into what I've already said of the beta. It's a wonderful, wonderful experience. It's fresh, it feels great, it's so intense and fast-paced. One of the biggest things that I should point out, too, that I've noticed from playing the maps is the variety of the map design and the map designs. No 2 maps seem alike. They're very, very unique in terms of scale, and also how the sort of, what do you call it, the verticality works out within each of the different maps. You know, some maps it's very easy to get to the rooftops quickly. There's a lot of accessible points. Other maps it's something you kind of have to work for. You really have to make use of the double, you know, the wall run and the double jump. But at the end of the day, every map has these multi layers. You know, if you were to look at a tactical map that maybe, you know, a competitive team might set up, they would actually have probably 3 separate maps, one for each layer, you know, the mid, the low, and the high. Because that is really how the maps actually function. You know, the rooftops are a whole nother fighting area. It's not just like, hey, there's a guy on the rooftops. No, I mean, that is a whole nother zone. That's a whole nother plateau, a whole nother arena that people are engaging in combat in. And again, it just adds to the really the intensity and the chaos and, you know, what makes Titanfall so special, in my opinion. It's that really big mixed bag of everything going on at once, and it's just non-stop, like 99% of the time, and it's that core aspect that is the Titanfall experience. So guys, what I want to ask from you actually is I have a couple videos already planned out for Titanfall, for the series. Of course, it's going to be here on the channel. I want to know what you guys want to see next. I want to let you decide on what's going to be the next Titanfall video. So I got a couple choices for you. We can do a live commentary. This is something I definitely want to do. I think a live commentary, you know, sort of talking you guys through my playstyle, what we're going to be doing, is going to be very interesting, and I think some people would like that. It's not something I do too often, so a little bit of change might be a good thing. Also, we could take a little bit more of an in-depth look at the different weapons and the different loadouts inside of the game, maybe share with you guys my favorite loadout so far in the full release, and we could also go ahead and look at the maps in a little bit more depth, you know, maybe talk about what map I've been enjoying the most, or what map I think is maybe the most well-designed or the most interesting. So go ahead and let me know your thoughts on what you'd like to see for the next Titanfall video. And of course, if you've been playing the game, feel free to let me know in the comment section below what you think of the full experience. You know, does it live up to what you played in the beta? Are you still waiting on that Xbox 360 version? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.